Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first in our series of Mifos community webinars. Today we have presenting with us Kareem Nakshbendi, and we look forward to bringing together experts from across the fintech space to impart their knowledge on our global community and ecosystem. So Kareem, I'll pass it on over to you to begin.
Thanks, Ed. Good morning. My name is Kareem, and I would like to thank you for joining us today. Welcome to Regulatory Technology in the Digital World of Banking. Thank you, Ed, for organizing this presentation. If you're having trouble hearing me, please send me a message in the chat box now. Great. Today you will be seeing poll questions throughout the presentation. So please keep pace and answer the questions quickly. Most polling questions will allow you to select only one answer, but others will require you to use the chat box to send your answers directly to me. The ability to message everyone has been disabled. Please take a moment now and find the chat box and then send me a test message. Okay, I have one person. There we go, is another person. Great, yeah, just type in test into the chat box just so we know it's working. Hello, Javier. Guardo, hello. Yes, the session has started. Okay, great. Before we continue, since I don't know everyone yet, let's take a quick poll and get the temperature in the room to help me understand where everyone is as far as regulatory technology and how it can be leveraged. Here's a quick poll question. Have you ever worked with or touched regulatory technologies? A couple more people left. Okay, we're almost there. Did everybody select? Okay, a couple more people. Okay. So it looks like more than half of us have not. So this will be a really interesting and useful presentation. Wonderful. Ed, do you want to talk a little bit about Mifos?
Yes, thank you, Kareem. So the Mifos community has been growing expansively over this past several years, extending beyond just traditional brick and mortar financial institutions to digital fintech companies that have a massive and global footprint. And as they grow and expand, the need for compliance and the cybersecurity threats that are facing are ever rising. So recently, in working with one of our mentors from the Apache Software Foundation, Kevin McGrail, he had met Kareem and thought that Kareem would be a valuable individual to help share their knowledge with our community and also to gain insights.
Thank you, Ed, for the kind introduction. So my education and experience in the US and international markets has been in several roles. Deal maker at private equity and real estate firms, operator and manager at several startup companies, and compliance advisor at Fortune 500 companies. We hope this presentation leads to future discussions on how we can empower your organization to make better decisions. We are here to discuss easy ways to access and use next generation technologies to adhere to compliance requirements. Most organizations don't understand new technologies or how to use them to solve specific compliance challenges. After struggling with many different types of complex and interconnected compliance challenges, I decided to solve the problem in the most simple manner possible by founding ACS. So ACS is an abbreviation for All Compliance Services. We are a next generation regtech platform that offers the financial services industry access to emerging technologies that solve governance, risk, and compliance needs. We are one secure vendor, one software interface, one seamlessly integrated application ecosystem. We'll take a deeper dive later on ACS, but right now let's take a look at the agenda and let's get started. Here's a quick glance at today's agenda. There are a lot of words on the screen. However, my goal today is to cover topics that matter the most to you. If there's anything on this agenda that you would like me to spend a little more time on, please send me a message in the chat box, and I'll be happy to expand on that topic if we have time. By the end of today's presentation, you will be smarter and more informed about regulatory technologies. We will learn more about regtech and what it is and how we can use it. We will talk about technologies that can be used today and technologies that are being developed to shape the future of global regulation. What is regtech? It is technology that addresses regulatory challenges and facilitates the delivery of compliance requirements. What is not regtech? Technology such as business process automation that provides operational efficiencies, but has nothing to do with legal requirements, rules, or laws. Now, why is regtech important? $321 billion in fines have been raised since the 2008 financial crisis. In the US, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, has had 868 enforcement actions in 2016 alone. And the SEC is beefing up with $2 billion in budget, 5,000 employees, and that's just one example of a single US regulator. The US has many regulators, and each country around the world has several regulators. So increased regulatory demands will continue. And overlapping regulators will make the environment more complex to navigate, which will create more surface area for gaps. Regulatory change over time, it swings from deregulation to heavy regulation. This is a predictable and consistent theme, but it never gets simpler, only more complex. Now let's identify this market. These are only a few categories to illustrate the breadth of this market. Each category has many different software companies, and most of them have a slight differentiator so that they can compete. This is called regtech 1.0 because only single solution providers exist today. They are interesting software companies that have built software without fully understanding the intent of the underlying laws and regulations across each jurisdiction and country. Laws and regulations come first because this is the problem we are trying to improve upon. Next comes cutting-edge technology software that can be refocused and used effectively so we all achieve success in the mission to make it easy to comply with laws and regulations. Let's take a few poll questions. First question here is, how concerned is your organization about data quality and data management challenges? Take a moment and select one of the answers. All right, we have almost everybody. Okay. Okay, so most of us are very concerned about data quality and data management challenges. Great. Let's look at another poll question. How concerned is your organization about the lack of flexibility to upgrade functionality in current systems? All right, we're doing much better this question, a lot faster in answering, which is wonderful. A couple more people left. Okay. All right, we have a mix. That's good. And one more quick poll question here. How concerned is your organization about the lack of integration among systems and software vendors? If you can answer quickly, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Great. So most of us are concerned with that. Interesting. Okay, wonderful. So let's talk about external driving forces. Take a moment and read the quote from the head of legal and compliance at the Development Bank of Singapore. So you can see that a need to assemble technology that works well together and addresses the legal and compliance needs first, and then functional needs second, must happen and will happen. So external driving forces. First, we have a fragmented market. There are many regtech companies out there, over 375, without cohesiveness on how the applications work together. The second external driving force is legislation and regulation. New laws overlap old laws, making it costly and more complex to comply with regulations. And when you think about multinationals that do business across the world, that becomes ever more complex and ever more difficult when all these different countries and jurisdictions have overlapping or conflicting laws. The third driving force is an increase in illicit activity, criminal activity. Bad things happen as a result of confusion. Complexity and confusion create the right environment for criminals to do damage. And then finally, we have brand and reputation as a driving force. There's a link that you can review later, but I'll tell you about it quickly. Brand and reputation is sacred. you will see that link about Danske Bank's fall from grace as one of Europe's most respected financial institutions. And it's a current example of brand and reputational damage. They were caught red-handed in one of the world's biggest money laundering scandals. Allegedly, $225 billion of dirty money flowed through their Estonian branch between 2007 and 2015 and caused damage to affiliated banking relationships that they had with Deutsche Bank, Bank of America, and JP Morgan. Now, what's interesting to me about the Danske Bank scandal is in 2008, they made the wrong decision regarding which IT platform they would use to prevent criminal activities. They picked an old and inferior IT platform on purpose. 10 former employees have been detained for knowingly enabling financial crimes, with more arrests on the way. The CEO, Thomas Borgen, quit over this money laundering scandal. Brand and reputation have a significant impact on your organization and all entities you do business with. But let's discuss an example of what success looks like within the financial inclusion space. Before we continue here, Eduardo, can you hear us now? Eduardo is having a problem hearing us. Well, just send us a message if you still have a problem, okay? Thank you. So, proven success in the financial inclusion space. AidTech is a company, I know one of the founders. It's an example of a single company that helps the base of the pyramid through financial inclusion. It's not an outlier, it's just one of many. AidTech helps address regulatory issues using technology, which is why we consider it a regtech company. They help facilitate financial transactions by addressing identity management challenges, which are driven by mandatory regulations for financial institutions and payment processors around the world. They help financial institutions serve the underbanked and unbanked population. They help identify people in refugee camps that are without a passport or other documentation. And because they help identify people using blockchain technology, these people get access to cash from loved ones and aid organizations around the world. There are many technologies that can better serve the unbanked and underbanked populations around the world. Take a look at some examples of emerging technologies that are accessible today and the clear benefits they provide. Capitech for regulatory reporting, risk ident for fraud detection, Passport for KYC, which is know your customer information, Darktrace for data privacy and cyber, Red Owl for market surveillance, and the list goes on. These are only a few examples of problems matched with solutions and the underlying technology with clear benefits we all want. There are many different companies utilizing artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and Internet of Things for specific uses that have significant impact for all organizations. Now, what does the global financial system think of these emerging technologies? Please take a moment and read through the quote from Credit Suisse. Financial organizations know they need to collaborate with each other. Now take a look at the Monetary Authority of Singapore's quote. As a leading regulator in the fintech space, they're working toward a shared KYC tool for everyone in Singapore to use together. Take a look at the CFTC quote The CFTC is the U.S. Commodities Future and Trading Commission. It's a U.S. regulator. As one U.S. regulator, the CFTC wants to use emerging technologies to enable them to do their job more effectively in the new digital world. The global financial system has many more success stories and believes in the opportunities to help everyone through collaboration. It's happening right now. There are many other quotes and examples, but the point is, banks, regulators, and customers all agree. Collaboration using new technologies is the future of the digital banking world. Now that we're all clear on what regtech is, let's take a quick poll question and figure out what everyone is using today. So what regtech software is your organization currently using? If you're using something, just type it into the chat box and we'll get it. And if you're not using any regtech software, just select we're not using anything. Okay, a couple more people left. I appreciate everyone trying to answer these quickly. Thank you, Shabir. Okay, great. All right, so most people are not using any regtech software. Okay. So what's next in the regtech market? Today we've talked about the possibilities of technologies that we can use today and examples of success different types of organizations are having using new technologies. The common theme you heard today was the need for collaboration. And the word collaboration is the perfect word to think about as I introduce to you the next-gen software company we are building at ACS. So all compliance services, our mission is to empower, enable, and deliver emerging technologies to the most highly regulated industries, allowing organizations to serve all types of customers and be able to comply with laws easier, quicker, and in a cost-effective manner. Now, how are we going to do this? We're going to do this by being hyper-focused on becoming the premier trusted regtech platform by aggregating, integrating, and delivering regulatory subject matter expertise, coupled with cutting-edge technology inside of a single software interface. The regulatory subject matter expertise differentiator because a lot of different types of technology companies in the regtech space are technologists that build great pieces of technology, but being able to understand the regulation and the intent of the law and the applicability of the law in different jurisdictions is really the problem. Other problems that ACS is solving are there are too many tools out there and they're not designed with legal and compliance understandings first, as I said, but they're interesting technology solutions that need to find a use case and a specific purpose. Second, the existing tools don't work that well together. And third, New tools are coming online all the time, making it harder for employees to keep up with training needs. ACS solves this problem with our secure access for enterprises platform. We're a single vendor and platform to access all needed tools. There's only one tool to learn, not 15 different tools. Our team has a background in global legal and compliance regulation first, and then cybersecurity and technology development second. We have interoperability, which ensures seamlessly integrated applications, all inside of a secure data environment. We provide easy access to an ever-growing list of technologies designed for many use cases. You get quicker delivery, training, and results for your financial institution, and cost-effective and flexible structures depending on what technologies you actually need and will want to use. These are the categories of collaboration models involving banks as of today. ACS presents a new and simpler model. We handle all emerging technology needs as a central hub for all three parties mentioned on this slide: banks, regulators, and startups. So from the first line, bank to bank, banks like ING are collaborating to reduce the cost of compliance with shared services and to agree on their legal interpretation of regulations together. I mean, think of that. Banks are collaborating to understand and agree on a legal interpretation across jurisdictions. The second line, bank and regulators. Banks like DBS and Standard Chartered are collaborating with the Monetary Authority of Singapore to offer faster digital onboarding services to customers. This lets financial institutions open up accounts quicker for more people instead of waiting to open an account over multiple days or a week even. The third line, bank and startup. Large banks are funding startups. They're financing these startups in incubators and accelerator programs because these banks want to focus on reducing their costs of compliance. And finally, bank, regulator, and startup. So the last line. This is the Royal Bank of Scotland. It's collaborating with the UK regulator, the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, using blockchain technology from R3, which is a startup, to be more effective partners. So the banks and the regulators want to be more effective partners, and they're using blockchain to do that. Now let's take a few poll questions and see how we're all thinking about things. How concerned is your organization about the limitations of your IT system adaptability to changing regulatory requirements? Okay, looks like we have a spread, but most of the people here have concerns about that. That's interesting. Okay. Now, how concerned is your organization about the inability to respond to time-sensitive and ad hoc requests from the government? The government in your respective jurisdictions or wherever you operate. Okay. Looks like we almost have everyone. Okay. So we have a spread, but most people are very concerned with that. And the last one for this round, how concerned is your organization about the high cost of maintenance and software vendor fees? Okay. Great. So yeah, most of us are concerned. Great. So let's talk about market trends. So as I reviewed all these market trends and read tons and tons of things and get into a lot of different materials, I've tried to boil it down to three major macro trends. First is that compliance costs will continue to rise with no end in sight. The next point is new technology will continue to be leveraged. And finally, early adoption of regtech, regulatory technologies, will increase in the North American region specifically, because the North American region is an early adoption market. What does this all mean to us? The increase in complexity for regulations will lead to global competitive advantage being a key concern. So regions around the world that are able to leverage technology for their benefit to be a competitive environment on pricing and technology offerings and banking opportunities, those regions will have advantage. The next point is advanced technologies will become a must-have, not a nice-to-have. I think years ago, having cutting-edge technology was not on the budget line or the expense list because it wasn't crucial to the future and the existence of organizations. But today, advanced technologies, specifically within the regulatory technology space, are clearly viewed as a must-have and a needed expense to survive. And the final point of analysis is countries outside of the North America region are going to get left behind. They're going to lose out on cost reductions and improvements in compliance effectiveness. And ACS has aligned itself to better serve these market needs. Now take a moment and look at some of the statistics we mentioned today and others we didn't have time to touch. The cost of compliance will continue to rise. And ACS helps mitigate this trend by reducing the costs associated with compliance while increasing effectiveness. We hope you gained insight and new thoughts on the regtech industry today. Please use the chat box or email us if you have specific questions or need additional thoughts on the regtech industry. I'll wait for a few questions and answer what we have time to answer. Just use your chat box and send us questions right now. Thank you. Okay, thank you for all your questions. If I could not respond to them today, I'll follow up directly with you over the next couple of days. Let's take a look at a final question that's really the crux of what we're trying to solve for here. What are your top 5 areas of concern that you would like your organization to improve or address within the next 6 to 12 months? I will close this poll so you can look at a couple other ideas we have on the screen. But the intent here is take a look at these areas of concern and help us understand what your major pain points are. Take a couple minutes, just use the chat box to send your responses directly to us. If there are other types of concerns that are not on this screen, just type it in or send us an email. Getting very interesting feedback. We'll give it another 30 seconds. Thank you. Thank you for your many interesting responses. If you would like some thoughts on how to address and resolve your concerns, email us your top 5 concerns after you talk to your teams, perhaps, and we can start a conversation about your specific needs. Thank you for the privilege of allowing me to talk with you today about the regtech industry. The ACS team is passionately working toward creating positive change. I will take a look at some of the questions now that we have some time. So someone asks, let's see here. In terms of a solution, your solution helps in collaborating different financial crime screening tools? Question mark. Yes, so the ACS platform is not just for financial crimes. It's across all areas of compliance that a financial institution has. So you have tax compliance, you have financial crime compliance, and what we're able to do is we're able to identify specific technologies and integrate them all into one solution, into one piece of software. Great question, thank you. We have another question here. How will regtech address AML? Great question. So specifically, the anti-money laundering space and counter-terrorist finance space is being transformed as we speak with the use of artificial intelligence, for example, to be able to use artificial intelligence and machine learning to build neural networks to identify patterns in transactions. So one particular bank will be able to use and leverage, instead of hiring 50 or 100 different AML analysts to look through all these different transactions, you'll be able to use one piece of software. I mean, banks are using this right now. They're using one piece of software that is able to go through all of the data that the bank has on all of their customers and mix and match different data points to identify which types of customers have the highest probability of conducting criminal activities using predictive analytics. But we can talk about it later. There's many different uses of regtech specifically for AML and financial crime compliance. And the idea is you don't need a staff of 100 or 300 analysts to do the work. You can do it very effectively with 20 people. Let's see, other questions here. I would like to know your opinion about regulatory sandboxes as a way to improve financial technologies in Latin America. Great question. So regulatory sandboxes. Regulatory sandboxes are very interesting, and I like them because they provide an opportunity for startups in the fintech space to bring to market their ideas without being worried about the government coming after them and shutting them down. And I think this is a reason why the UK has become, for a long time, has become the center of financial technology innovation because of the sandbox environment that they've created over there from the beginning to be able to embrace startups and work with them to make the UK specifically a more competitive environment because their regulators were open to having a regulatory sandbox. Great question. Thank you. If you would like a copy of today's presentation, please email us at allcomplianceservices@gmail.com after this presentation. My name is Kareem Nakshbendi from All Compliance Services based in Washington, D.C. Manage your regulatory compliance risk with one technology vendor, ACS. Please enjoy the rest of your week. Goodbye for now.